Apologies for not being here last Thursday, and apologies last Thursday trying to do this event in my garden, which didn't work so well with the old Tinternet. So apologies for that, but we're here. We're here now. It's absolutely sweltering outside. Literally just turned the fan off because I knew that that would be the only thing other than my voice that you'll be able to hear right now on this live. So that's all up. We're ready to go. So right now, if this is the first time seeing me popping up wherever I'm popping up for you, it's your first time hearing of me, and you've got no Scooby Doo who the hell I am. Just a quick intro for everybody. My name's Mike. I am obviously on a mission along with our business Cavill to help and support all businesses, bold, triple, underline, to be able to create environments that their people want to be a part of. So my background for me is I've been working in HR. Bless me, I know my youthful complexion and all. It may not appear to be believable, but for over 18 years, I've been doing this gig of helping supporting businesses, both really small micro businesses to huge, massive organizations, businesses in the public sector, private sector, and helping them to try and get their infrastructure with their people right in their business from an HR perspective, as well as dealing with what we all come to know when it comes to HR, the kind of the people kind of management element, the kind of police force part of things when staff go rogue. So I've been doing that for a number of years. One of the things I love about what I do is the variety, the spice of life. After 18 years, I can still come up with something and come against something that I've never come across before or seen. And that really excites me that I can be that far into a career and still come across things that are fresh and new. So, what's this for? What's this live session all built around? Well, this is all about us coming to you and helping you to get the people element, get your people right in your business. So, if you remember, I've just said our mission is to help all businesses, not just those that we provide services to, not just our clients, not just those who register for other kind of bits and pieces that we do, or training programs. We want to help everybody. And that means my only other route that I have at the moment in time to being able to do that and to get these things out there is to do these lovely, wonderful live sessions, these uncomfortable kind of things where I have to just imagine there's no one listening. And sometimes, maybe that could be the case. Who knows, right? So the focus here is we want to be able to give some information about what's going on at the moment in the world, what's going on with people, live topics, and start to really discuss those and go through some ideas that you can take away, things maybe you even need to think about within your business that you need to take away and look to obviously maybe apply into your business or talk and discuss with your staff and your managers. So today's topic, obviously, we want to look at effective hiring. I was playing with the title on this one, by the way. I was like, the ins and outs of staff. Well, that's kind of misleading. That could be lots of different things. But this really is about getting people in and part of looking at moving people out. And these are kind of two hot categories at the moment in time that we're experiencing with our clients. So we're living and breathing this at the moment in time. And this is a live problem as businesses are starting to cut costs, looking at how to work and operate with the costs that are going up around the same thing, the cost of living, electric, gas, all those sort of things impacting on businesses in the same way as our personal lives. Some businesses are also looking to reduce back. Other businesses are still looking at how can we hire people at the moment in time, given the state the market is in for recruiting and hiring people. So the two-pronged issue here for businesses is about bringing people in, and others, it's about how to effectively get people out to reduce costs. So I wanted to just kind of go through, I've got some little notes here if you see me looking down, sorry, but I wanted to kind of give some good kind of information, things we need to be thinking about at the moment in time. This is not, by the way, if you're looking at this thinking, Mike's got the holy grail on how to guarantee I get the right people and how to guarantee that I follow a process that's going to give me no legal kind of implications or problems from a redundancy process. This is perfect. This is wonderful. I'm not making that guarantee whatsoever. This is an idea. This is kind of a strategy. It's kind of a brainstorm to try and put you in the kind of seat to think about what areas and concerns do you need to be concerning yourself about, and perhaps also what things are happening at the moment in time that perhaps, or you're looking at specifically with hiring as well, that realistically you need to go beyond. You're kind of getting yourself stuck into that kind of old fashioned bubble. You think it's just that's the way it has to be done, and you're not thinking outside the box, and you're falling into that kind of trap. So one of the key things that I want to touch on when it comes to hiring staff right now, the biggest concern is at the moment in time, according to our recent stats from the National Office of Statistics. I don't know why I struggle sometimes saying that phrase, but the biggest implication of that is that in the round numbers of it, there are more vacancies in the UK. There are more jobs available that we're trying to actively, all of us, trying to recruit to. And there are not enough people unemployed to fulfill all of those roles. And the problem with that means is you always get a course of what we call natural wastage. I'll come on to that in a minute for redundancy, by the way, too. But you always get a course of natural wastage. That's where people just organically, naturally, not because of anything's gone wrong or any complications, but just naturally, they want to leave the job that they're in. They want to leave the post that they're in. And realistically, when you're looking at the figures and you're looking at there are more posts than people unemployed, that tends to speak to most people that actually the people you probably want to employ in your business are probably already in a job. They're probably already in a role. So realistically, you're probably not even looking at the figures, and it's bad enough as it is for the unemployed. You're probably looking at really a really smaller figure, which is those that are going through that natural wastage, that kind of turnover kind of process, where they're looking to explore, grow, change roles, increase their career pathway options, and all that lovely jazzy stuff. My point to that is when you're thinking, obviously you're looking at hiring, looking at getting people in, and that urgent need to fill these posts to grow your business. Again, remembering we're always saying this, in order for any business to scale and grow, you need people. That's just the common facts of life. You're going to need people. If you can struggle getting the people in, then that's going to impact on your ability potentially to scale and grow your business. And it's about being realistic. It's about understanding the complication you're going to have. You're going out to market, you're competing against lots of different businesses, not just small ones, but sometimes big ones with lots of money and backing. And you're looking not just at those people that are unemployed, it's worse than the stats even say. You're looking for the group of people who are actually already employed and looking to entice them, give them a reason to actually leave where they are and try something different, go somewhere new. That's a really hard push to make. And it's about being realistic about that. So just going out and putting an advert on Reed or doing those different bits and pieces is probably not sufficient in the current market. What does that mean? It means maybe you need to think outside the box. It means maybe you need to think about headhunting. Maybe we need to think about looking for people, like, for example, LinkedIn. I think we're on LinkedIn right now. So looking at those kind of forums and trying to skim and find the candidates that you think on paper, based on experience and qualifications, and I'll come on to that, meet the criteria of the ideal candidate that you're looking for, that candidate avatar. So that's the first thing, is being realistic, understanding exactly the position of the market right now and what makes it so difficult to employ people. So you need to build that into things like timeframes to recruit, all of that stuff. The next thing is about not just getting anybody in, because this is the kind of natural consequence of this. Is I just need someone. I need people quick. I need to get somebody into the post, damn it. So you go and get anybody. It's like, McDonald's. Oh my God, picking on McDonald's. But it's like McDonald's, I just need a teenager. Anyone just gets in there, can just do the job, give the burgers out, whatever it is they do at McDonald's, never worked there. But, they're just there trying to, so they think they can just get anybody in, train them up, go through their STAR program. Let's just get this going and get these people in. And a lot of businesses feel the same way. And that's the worst case scenarios. You go for anybody rather than the right body. You want the right person for not just the job, but for the team, for the business. What we see on an endemic level is that every company we talk to, whether they're clients, whether they're not clients, whether they're prospective clients, whether it's just a general networking conversation, whatever it is, every business that I talk to has exactly the same problem. And that is wrong person, wrong role, wrong business. It's everywhere, littered. If you just get anybody in, then you are opening the door for more of those people. That's on you, not them. That's your problem, your fault, not theirs. Be clear on that. So you want to make sure you're getting the right person in. So you don't go down that pathway going, oh, the market's so scarce. There's not so many people in, but hey, we can't scale and grow without people. So we need to get people in. So let's just hire Joe Blogs and get them in and realize that actually they're just crap and it's not going to work for you and your business. Or they're great, but they just don't fit and gel with anybody else. And it's causing all sorts of problems, right? You need to make sure we're getting the right people into your business, not just anybody, the right body is what we want to look for. And the other area where we tend to make a mistake is, and by the way, just to categorically be clear, I'm not saying that you shouldn't consider this. That is the opposite to what I am saying. But a lot of companies think, well, Mike, if I've got to entice this person away from where they are to come and work for me, really nuts and bolts of it, we're getting down to money, aren't we? The brass tacks is, how much am I willing to give them? What's the pay? And can I afford that? Is that achievable for me to be able to pay that amount of money? And the answer is focusing just on the money is really going to lead you down a dark path, because it's a hiding to nothing to become competitive solely on money. And in effect, what you're saying is that the only people that can compete in that is the richest and wealthiest businesses. And that is not true. And equally, when you look at the facts around this, and you can look this up, you Google this, I can't remember what the actual facts are off the top of my head, but money, if you look at the top 5 important facets to an individual and they're deciding where they want to go and work, this is not just a job to, get them past certain periods of time, part of their career where they're looking to go and build their career. When you look at those people and you look at the top 5 reasons, money is on there. It's one of them. Let's put that to bed. It's there, right? Of course it is. It's important. But it's not 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's just number 1. So there's another 4 reasons that potentially will be a driver for someone coming to work for you. That means that your money could be competitive. Doesn't have to be, you're outpricing the other company they're working for right now. But you've got these other things that are there that's going to really attract them. One of them, by the way, coincidentally, is the environment they're going to come and work in. Why is that important to people? Why is that so important? It's such a thing that we miss in businesses. We're so keen to get people in, and we think money's the be all and end all to solve that problem and attract the right people, but it's not. Why is environment so important? Why is that so important? Because the majority of us that work at a business full time, perhaps 30% on average of our time awake in our lives is spent there. So you're spending more time there with those people than you are your wife, your husband, your parents, your children, your friends, any of those people. You're spending more of your time with those people that you work with than those that you choose and want to be around. Just put that in perspective. If it's a toxic environment, you don't want to be there, then you're going to be depressed the majority of the time that you're awake, the majority of your life. That's just insane. It makes no sense. So environment is really important. So start thinking outside the box about what's the environment like? What's the culture like that you're building? What other incentives are you building? Is there any bonuses? Are you looking at supporting people with mental health? Huge thing at the moment in time. Again, another epidemic within the workplace, especially after everything we've been through with COVID, is mental health. What are you doing in your workplace to help your staff around mental health issues? Equally, right now, look at what's going on in the marketplace. Look at, we just spoke about it, about gas prices, electric prices, costs of living, etc., etc. Yes, you could say just throw money at those things, but you may not yourself have the money to throw at the staff to do that. But what other things can you do? What other mechanisms are in place to help and support staff? It's not always just about the money. Money plays a massive part. No word of a lie. It does, absolutely, not denying it, but it's not the only tool in your box and your armory that you can pull to attract and keep good, talented people in your business. Think about those other aspects. And the other thing is, what other areas can you focus on? So, one of the other things that when I talk about that is looking at what's the career pathway. So for a lot of people, when they're looking at what they're doing for a career, a job, it's not just about that. They're wanting to be able to expand. They're wanting to be able to grow. One of our mentors, which is looking at the personal financial, kind of personal, professional, financial, sorry, implications of anything. Those are one of the key things that comes from Grant Cardone, and in terms of that kind of facet of what we're looking at, in terms of how you're quantifying what you're giving back to people. It's not just thinking about what people give to you, but it's what can I give back? How can I impact on their personal life? How can I impact on their professional life, career pathways, developing a place for them to go and develop in, rather than, is this it? Am I going to sit here? I remember, going back roughly when I pretty much started, I was working in a local authority, and bless all the people there, wonderful, lovely people. But one of the first things, I was wet behind the ears. I wanted to, I've come out of university, I've just done all this stuff, I've just done a sandwich year in an NHS trust, and I'm really keen to get in. I'm hugely keen to grow. I've got an ideology in my mind where I want to be, and and what I want to do. That pathway for me personally, I had that in my mind set up. Not everyone does, but I did. And when I got in there, I just generally, as you're talking to people, found out that actually the majority of people had been there for like 10, 20 years in the same job. And the people above them were the same. And they weren't going anywhere over the course of the next 10 to 15 years, for what I could see, unless it was a restructure, which I think they did do when I wasn't there. But unless it was anything drastic like that, that was kind of where things were going. That you were going to be in the same job. There was no kind of, this is it. I was like, this is not where I want to be in 20 years' time. This is not what I want to be doing. I've got bigger aspirations than that. And that's not putting anybody down that chose to be there for that period of time, but that just wasn't me. I mean, I had people that had done their CIPD training and were, even at that point in time, more qualified than me, but were administrators and had nowhere to go to actually implement any of the training that they'd actually paid to have. It just made no sense. So for me, having a career pathway and having an opportunity for people to be able to grow in your business and show them what that likes is hugely inspirational. Plus, thinking about, just on top of that, where the business is going. If I'm stuck in a job that's ticking my boxes, I'm getting monthly money, I can pay my bills at the moment, whatever the case may be. This is great. I can sustain my family. But personally, I want to be able to achieve something and be part of something would really be inspirational to me. So sometimes it's not just about the career pathway, it's also about the pathway for the business. Where is that going? How do I feature? What impact could I have on that? That's going to be a great thing on my CV. If I've helped a business to go from A to Z, and what I did directly implicated on that, by the way, secret here, all employees, regardless of level, have an impact on getting there, right? But the fact of the matter is, I've got a part of playing that. I'm a part of this ecosystem. So I think that's the thing. Think outside the box of what else you can give back to staff and what other benefits you can give. But remember, it's a hostile atmosphere out there at the moment in time in terms of hiring staff. And whatever the stats say, it's probably a little bit worse now. And I'm not doom and gloom. We don't do doom and gloom here at Cavill. This is positive thinking only space. So it's not impossible. It absolutely is possible. You can achieve and hire the right staff into your business. True. Fact. It's difficult. That's the key. The other part of this, oh my God, the other part of this, a whistle stop tour, trying to rush through here, is obviously about redundancies. It's the other side of things. So currently at the moment in time, like I said, with everything that's going on in the climate at the moment in time, it's just the nature of the beast that there is ebb and flow. There are people looking to recruit and they're struggling to get people in, but equally there's people trying to get people out of their business too. And it's not necessarily, that's probably, I've said that wrong. It's not about getting people out of their business. It's about legitimately, reducing their costs, their exposure and risk, and doing that in the right way. And I think one of the first things that I would touch on when it comes to redundancies, there's two actually that I would touch on. The first one that a lot of small businesses would do is they'll already have in their mind who. Yeah. So the biggest implication with most small businesses is they go, Jane, that's the person we want to make redundant. She is doing a whatever job. That's where we want to go. That's the redundancy. We're done. Now, what do we need to go through to do this logistically? Thanks, Mike. And I always bring people back and say, look, before you mention names, before you mention anything, I'm not looking at people right now. So when you're starting this process, you're looking at posts. It's posts that you're making redundant. The person's redundant by virtue of being in the post. It's the post that you're making redundant. You're saying, that in actual fact, what you're looking to do to try and reduce costs is potentially looking at maybe putting some of that work somewhere else, maybe outsourcing some of that work at a more cost effective rate. Maybe it's not needed anymore. Projects have finished up, their work isn't available. So you need to draw down on the staff in that particular way of things. Whatever the reason is, it's got to be post related. You're looking at why that job. Why is it that job that's being made redundant? Why is it the nature of the work that's being done in that post is not required anymore, is being put out somewhere else, or groups of other people within the team are actually doing it? Why is that work better? That's the first thing to focus on, is the post, not the people. So don't go jumping in already thinking, I know who. Think about the reason and the rationale as to why that particular job. Think about the post, not the people. It's the people that are made redundant by virtue of being in the post, not the other way around. And the other thing is that is really important once you've done that as well, is this is about dignity. So I think for any of us that if you've ever done a redundancy process, or if you've ever been through one before as well, it's not a fun exercise. This is a horrible process. In fact, I think this is probably the worst area of what we do that I hate the most, because it's horrible. I don't like doing but it's part of business. It's part of what we do. So it's the world. Um, but for people that are going through it, I think it's important to remember that you should be making sure that this is as dignified a process as you can possibly make it, because it really isn't nice. And especially in the climates that we're in, and the things that are going on in people's lives and all these other bits and pieces, it's about, yes, we need to go through this process. Yes, we need to do it in the right way to avoid legal implications for the business, etc., etc. But we should also be thinking about how we do this the right way for the person who's going through it. And that's really, really, I can't underline that enough, because, again, touching on things like mental health and all these other aspects, this is going to 9 times out of 10 have an impact on that person's life. You do get natural wastage as well, which can help to avoid redundancy. I said I'll come back to that. And you can also, instead of doing just compulsory redundancy, you can look at doing voluntary redundancy. So people who are choosing to go through that process rather than the business compulsory choosing to make that post redundant. So there are other ways around it. But when you'll come into a compulsory redundancy process, 9 times out of 10, it's not that individual's choice or desire for that to happen right now. So just to remember that when you're going through these processes, you're dealing with human beings. It's important to remember you need a human factor to this. So don't just go in hard and cold. It's the key message there. But it's also making sure that the framework you follow, redundancy, is redundancy. The law around it and how you work through that process are the same regardless of size, type, industry, background of the business. It makes no difference. It's the same across the board. The only difference is depending on how many people you're looking to make redundant. That's the people impacted by it potentially. Those are the only differences, and that impacts on consultation length. But the fact of the matter is what you want to make sure you have is a good, firm kind of blueprint. I use that word because we actually have a unique redundancy blueprint that guides our clients through this. But you need a good blueprint to make sure that you're not rushing ahead. You're thinking about the right things. Like I said, post versus people. You've got to think about the right aspects you're going through, making sure you're taking the right steps at the right times, making the right decisions at the right times, taking the right meetings with the right people, inviting the right people. If you just heard that, I just hit my finger on a lamp. I'm sorry. That's what the ding was. But all those things are really important facets you need to think about. And the reason I bring that up is, like, with our redundancy blueprint, the idea and principle behind that is we imagine it as one really long garden. And each of them, the gardens are broken down by gates and fences. And before you can move into the next garden, you need to have done all of the obstacle courses that you had to jump through in the first garden before the door opens. The door doesn't open until you do. And the reason for that is to make sure you're reducing the business's legal risks of doing this. If you're going through this process to save costs, the last thing you need after going through a process, by the way, redundancy is an expensive process, either by the management of doing it and by the costs of actually giving people redundancy pay. Sometimes, if people have worked with you less than 2 years, then that won't be applicable, but that does have a cost implication. So if you're going through this process, it costs money to go through it in any case. Then you're looking at your payback period and how much you could potentially save over the next year, 2 years, whatever the case may be. You want to look at. The last thing you need is doing something slightly wrong or making a misjudgment on a process and doing it in the wrong order or something of those sort of lines, suddenly coming back on you, and you can't start getting discrimination claims or unfair dismissal claims, which racks up money either in doing compromise settlement agreements or in going through to a tribunal case. The last thing you need is to have those implications. So making sure that you're thinking, just to recap on that, that you're looking at posts, not people, first and foremost. It's a human aspect. Remember, don't go in hard and cold. You want to go in with a human approach and actually give these individuals that are going through this process the dignity that they deserve, regardless of what you think of them. They do deserve dignity as they're going through that process in the same way as you would want it yourself if you were going through it. And the last bit is to make sure that you've got a good structure and blueprint as how you're going to approach it, so you can avoid legal pitfalls at the end of it and end up actually negating all of the savings you would have made in the first place. So those are the core things we want to look at. Guys, girls, everybody, just quickly to this side over here, where I'm pointing, there is a link to our HR Lite. I know I do this every time, but please, this is our low threshold for businesses that need HR support, whether that's access to contracts, access to annual leave calculators, letters to write to staff when you're passing probation, when you're doing disciplinary investigations, how to do an effective grievance investigation, whether it's looking how you write to staff about different bits and pieces of redundancy that we've been looking at as well, whether it's getting access to training for your managers to guide them and to support them in effectively managing your people. Just imagine a world where your business has the people that you want in your business, that is designed and focused on the success of that business, and whereby in actual fact you're reducing your people problems because everybody's there for the same purpose, everybody believes in the same sorts of things and has the same core sense of connection to the values of your business, and you have less of these headaches and problems. You're spending more of your time doing the doing in your business and focusing on making that success than basically doing the babysitting of your staff effectively. Making sure you've got that in place and having that kind of business, that just sounds like the dream to me. And certainly, I guess that sounds like the dream to you. And if you haven't experienced and you employ people and you haven't experienced that pain just yet of when things go wrong and how they can just completely, just from one person, take over your life, then you need to understand that this, when you start getting, like we said, the wrong person in the wrong role in the wrong business, that's exactly what can happen. You end up doing nothing that you're meant to do, nothing of why you got into the business or that role to do, whether you're a finance manager or ops director, whatever the case may be, or an owner. You do none of those things you're there to actually do. You're literally just solidly focusing on dealing with these people aspects and issues that just eradicate all of your time to do anything else other than that. That's where a lot of things can fall into. In some cases, and in fact, a lot of the cases, when we start talking to businesses, it's a case that it's that point in time when they've reached that kind of status in their business that they start looking for the HR. My point is it's important to get it in place before the shit hits the fan to avoid it from hitting the fan in the first place and to give you more of that time back. This is a low barrier threshold to achieve that. So you go on there, it's hrlight.co.uk. You go through to enroll, you can enter a coupon code, which is 100 for 100. As you can see on there, type it in exactly as it is, and you get £97 a month off of that particular package. A package worth, by the way, in value over £20,000 for as little as £100 a month. Fantastic, right? And it takes care of all these different bits and pieces. It's a done with you service on this one. So you have a part to play. You have a lot of the work to do. If that's not for you, we do have our retain package too that can help do a done for you service. But this is our low barrier and threshold to entry for all of you, especially if you're a smaller business, maybe even just starting to employ people. This is the package for you. Absolutely. I hope this has been really helpful. As always, just as a last thought, because I'm realizing I've been on for 30 minutes and this is going to be like a 10-minute session. So I've completely screwed that up. But just as bearing in mind, I want to know your comments. I want to know what you want to know about. Bearing in mind my expertise, bearing in mind what we do to help and support your business to be a success. It's not just about dealing with the shit mess when it's there, when you've got people that are doing stupid stuff that you need help with. It's how can you make a difference to your business? How can we make your business better? How can we help you to succeed in the goals and the vision that you have in your business? And what things can we talk about that's going to help you to get there? So it's all fair and well me just coming on saying different things. These are kind of things that we're getting live at the moment in time. It's things that our clients are talking to us about, and it's things that people are asking us about as well to talk about that we come on and do. But I want to know more. So to feed this in, give me a comment, whatever platform you're on, drop a comment, please, and just let me know what aspects, what issues of the day you would love for us to talk about. Equally, also to help us out and to help us to grow and to help more people and to get to more people, please do me a solid favor, whatever platform you're on, either subscribe or follow, and please give us a like. Please give us your feedback. What would you like to know more of? And give us a like and a follow. That'd be hugely, hugely grateful for that. Thank you very much, everyone. It's going to be absolutely balmy weather out there this weekend, apparently. So enjoy the weather, enjoy your weekend. Don't drink too much. And remember the suntan lotion. No one wants to get burnt, right, after all. So have